Welcome. In this video demonstration, I'm going to talk about doing captures with Network Monitor 3.2. We'll also talk about selecting network adapters, and we'll go a little bit over what promiscuous mode is. So the first step here is to press the new capture button, and a new tab will open at the top, and this is the screen that allows you to do captures. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the Select Networks dialog, or tab here at the bottom. It basically lists all the adapters you have in your machine, and you can see here that I have 2 plus a NDIS WAN port. In Vista, this shows up as NDIS WAN port. In our down-level OSs like 2003 and XP, this shows up differently. And this is the port that allows you to capture inside a VPN tunnel if you have a connection like that. If you simply capture at the NIC or the adapter, then all that information will be encrypted and you won't be able to see what's inside. So you might want to look inside the tunnel, and you can capture inside the tunnel and not capture outside the tunnel. If you just want to see that tunnel traffic, that will work as well. Secondly, there's a button called P mode, which is promiscuous mode, which you can enable separately for each adapter. And what this allows you to do is to sniff traffic where your machine's not involved. You can be a third-party viewer of traffic on your network with one very important requirement. The traffic has to make it to your machine. Your NIC has to actually see the traffic. In today's world, routers and even some smart hubs will filter that traffic so you don't have to see it if it's not going to your machine. And this speeds up the network, but it doesn't allow you to do this promiscuous mode sniffing. So you might have to configure the router differently, or you could get yourself a hub that does not do this type of filtering. So now that we've selected that mode, or selected our setup, let's go ahead and we'll hit start. And then as soon as I do that, you'll see that new frames start populating. You'll see that the conversation tree starts to fill in as well. And as we get these new frames, you'll see them live. So that's an interesting feature that allows you to see the data come in live. So now I'm going to pause. Now, when you pause a trace, this is different than stopping. When you pause a trace, you can continue to capture again by selecting again, and it'll add to the traffic. And I don't lose my frames 1 through 7 that have already been captured. If I hit stop and start, the difference is that it'll start from 1 again. It'll get rid of your previous capture, and it'll start capturing again. So now let's stop the trace, and I see my data here. I can now save the data, which is probably what your next step is going to be if you want to share that with somebody else. Now, default for our release version of NM32 will be the all captured frame. So even if you have a filter applied now, or if you have selected frames, it'll save all the frames in the trace. On the other hand, you might have a filter on and you want to just save those displayed frames. This is often useful if you want to get to a location in a trace and pass it on to somebody else. And what's kind of cool is in Network Monitor 3, we store the display filter so you can sort of follow what happened if you have both traces. You can also select a bunch of frames, click and select multiple frames, or shift to get a range of frames, and you can save just those frames. And finally, you can select a range of frames manually if that's what you prefer to do. So I'll do all capture frames. I'll type in a name. And there, my file's been saved, and I can go on capturing. By the way, you don't have to be stopped to save your frames. You can save them while the capture is occurring. Obviously, as new frames come in, there will be a point at which your capture file will not contain the new data, but that's probably to be expected, I would think. So that is the end of our video, and I hope you understand how to capture with Network Monitor 3.2. Thanks.